I got so much work to do here. Alright! Hi. How's it going? My name is Bullshit. Dr. Bullshit. Tonight, we about to get ourselves into some good old gaming time.
What?
What? This is Creeptober, though? Well, remember that my name is Tronos Gaming, right? So therefore, why not talk about some creepypastas that are game-related? And specifically, two characters that have made its way popular of the mainstreams. Mainstreams as in, like, the fandom, basically. And everyone adores a little gremlin and little cats, right? What was I saying? Anyways, let's talk about creepypasta games here. Shall we? Let me just get my glasses ready because this is a lot of information I'm gonna get, so this is gonna be a bit short, I promise you. The last one was not short. I lied about that. I lied that it was not short. So therefore, I'm completely fucking stupid. Alright? So therefore, we're gonna try this again. This time, I'm not gonna fuck this up and I'm gonna speed way through this here, alright? Just a little bit. I might be lying next time here, so be prepared for that. Let's just get to the point. Video games have been an essential part of society in this world, and most specifically on the internet of all things considered, since people like to live stream, make videos and gameplays, speedrunning, or analyze anything that video games are related to. Sometimes so you could complain about a game that's not really that great, but it is still good at the end of the reports, or that you just like to crap on it like Chipotle because you're an idiot and act like a bully towards literally teens. I'm talking about certain cretins here that are freaks, gooners, and synthetic boy, but I'm not getting into that. Now, don't make honesty as a crime here, ladies and jets and spuds. They do act like brats more than me and my cousin do. Regardless, video games were quite unique as movies and shows, except that instead of just watching, you make choices of how stories go. You could get a good ending, or a bad ending, or a weird ending. Whichever you pick, you do so wisely and carefully in these times of your play here. Now, the history of video games goes back to the 1950s and the 1960s, as computer scientists began designing simple games and simulations on microcomputers and mainframes. Space War was developed by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, student hobbyists in 1962 as one of the first such games on the video display. The first consumer video game hardware was released in the early 1970s. The first home video game console was the and the first arcade video games were Computer Space and Pong. After its home console conversations, numerous companies sprang up to capture Pong's success in both the arcade and the home by cloning the game, causing a series of boom and bust cycle due to oversaturation and lack of innovation. By the mid-1970s, low-cost, programmable microprocessors replaced the discrete translator, transistor, logic security, and early hardware, and the first ROM cartridge-based home consoles arrived, including the Atari Video Computer System, VCS. Coupled with rapid growth in the golden age of arcade video games, including Space Invaders and Pac-Man. The home console market also flourished in the 1983 video game crash in the United States was characterized by the flood of too many games, often of poor or cloning qualities, and the sector saw competition from inexpensive personal computers and new types of games being developed for them. I'm not going through all of this history, but as you can tell, it's pretty stellar if you could put it. As years went by though, arcade games and video games became mainly popular in the 1990s and the 2000s, when popular games such as Mario, Sonic, Zelda, Astro Boy, and even many to come have brought joy and glee to the masses. Mostly boys. At the time, pesky adults thought a girl couldn't play video games because they were proper and girly. Yeah. Moving onward, sorry that put me in a spiral for a second. Games were popping like champagne and poppers of the party as not only popular and infamous ones start to make bank, but indie games became known as well, such as FNAF, Hollow Knight, Cult of Land, Baldi's Basics, Undertale, Deltarune, Gmod, World of Warcraft, Bayonetta, Break My Neck Darling, Dark Souls, Cuphead, Happy Wheels, Among Us, Night in the Woods, and even, God forbid, Class of 09.
You want to be sexed up, abusive lesbian?
That game was crack itself, and the creator probably was almost frying his brains off of that. Don't tell him that these two are homies, okay? There are a shit ton of these out in 2015 to now. When companies are trying to sabotage games now for profit, there's something that gamers can do other than play PC games alone. Hey, it works well because it was a great time. I remember the times when I watched PewDiePie and Tobuscus playing these indie games for a while now, and that they were just like fun and enjoyable, you know? As much as the ones that were made by, organizations and companies. But as time goes by, it just becomes a little bit more expensive to buy even your own fucking DVD of the same copy of the game, which is really infuriating and also a bit unfair because I am not that fucking rich. You get what I mean? Video games are supreme on the internet for a long time now, and it might not change anytime soon. Not unless Mr. Bitch decided to use the Elon Musk card on YouTube and fucks everyone over in the worst way. Wait, we already have one in the shadows. Whoops. But the point is obvious, and the reason why games, specifically indie ones, are peak is not because of all the fun adventures to go to, all the sweet, colorful landscapes of its atmosphere. Hell, it's not even about the fact that you make friends along the way in the game and that you get a very good ending where you see basking in the sunlight. It's none of those things. The reality is that one specific genre always beats out the rest of other games, that it reduces high peak of quality and a lot of symbolism storylines and quite the fright to be seen. That is horror games. Horror games are like the bread and butter of all time. There's a reason why that a lot of people actually play a shit ton of horror games across the years here, because they make the bucks, and they make the banks, and it makes all the good green stuff to come by because of scare factors and a lot of elements that could scare the fuck out of the player in a heartbeat, or better, giving unnerving chills in some capacity because it's a goddamn disturbing, which is really a lot. There is a lot of games. Some do pretty well, some not. The best examples from me, I have known for a while, are Silent Hill 2 and 3, Resident Evil, Rambo, The Path.exe, Amnesia, The Dark Descent, actually, this is one of my favorite games, fair. Mad Father, It, Witches' Houses, I'm Scared, 7 Days, Eyes, Bendy and the Ink Machine, 123 Sodomy Street, Doki Doki Literature Club. Don't ask me why it's horror, just play it and come back to me. Baldi's Basics, Tattletale, Unholy, Oxenfree, Yumi Nikki, Amanda the Avenger, Faith, Bad Parenting, Poppy Playtime, and even the newest one of the bunch, Mouthwashing. These games sometimes use normal horror, I like to call it, where the usual is jump scares, loud noises, and gore, which is standard in the making of spooky games for any seasons or timing. But some can use psychological horror, which is a form of torture that's ever happened to so many people, thinking innocent game or normal at best turns into abysmal hell at the half. The ones that are normal horror, in my opinion, is Resident Evil, Amnesia, and 123 Sodomy Street, and also FNAF, but we already know. Ones who use psychological horror are probably Amori, Oxenfree, and Mouthwashing. But many games that aren't popular as these do use normal and psychological. It's just not known to the naked eye, you see. But you may be asking the question, why are you talking about horror games? What's the significance between Creeptober and horror games that you're speaking about right now? Well, that's the question I'll answer now, because sometimes horror games aren't usually made in an engine or computers at all, but in fact are made in paper. Sometimes even written for a certain game that isn't normally scary. So today we are talking about creepypasta game stories that made this a thing. One that starts with a bang, the other made it popular, and the other that overblown it to this extent to a certain game that I'll get to later. First, let's talk about the pasta that started off. Actually, you know what? I'll give you a bit of a history of where it first started off. The first thing was Polybius. Polybius, polygons, polyamorous, polypockets here. Polybius was the first ever creepypasta being about a game that never existed. Shocking. Polybius is a fictitious 1981 arcade game that features an urban legend. The legend describes as a game of a part of a government-run, crowd-sorted psychology experiment based in Portland, Oregon. Nothing happens good in Oregon, God's sakes here. Gameplay supposedly produced intense, psychoactive, and addictive effects in the player. These few publicly staged arcade machines were said to have been visited periodically by men in black for the purpose of data mining the machines and analyzing these effects. Supposedly, all of these Polybius arcade machines then disappear from the arcade market. Okay, first of all, let's get one thing straight here. Why the fuck does it sound like any other fucking internet that we have seen right now? And secondly, is this true or false that this is happening right now with a bunch of games recently that are fucking shit? Like mobile games and such. Just a little bit here. That's why I've been slacking off recently, because of that. Dumb bitch. Now I am the problem, but that seems what it just sounds like, to be honest. Anyways, but let's continue. I'm gonna be honest. It seems like a fan-made video of what Polybius would be like. It looks like a trip. Like an acid trip, to be honest. I'm going to be super petty, but if I were to beat this game, it would actually be on crack. But I'm going to use to finish this game, and this will not be any good trip. Oh, no. This is going to be a bad trip.
I'm freaking out! I can taste color! Is that a super?
The first online mention of Polybius is a coinup.org article alleged to have been created in 1998. That's a fucking lie. Which extensive legend by claiming possessions of the ROM image file from 1981 arcade machines, claiming to have played it. And on May 16, 2009, promising to bring future updates pending on the investigatory flight to Kiev, Ukraine. Ukrainians. The first known printed mention of Polybius, exposing the legend to the mass market audience in the September 2003 issue of GamePro. The feature stories, secrets, and lies declared this game's existence to be inclusive, helping to both spark curiosity and spread the story. And that's probably it. Now, let's get into my favorite creepypastas now, which one of them is a massive one. And yes, he's just right here.
Legitness. Yeah, it was, huh?
Motherfuckers, I'm in it for it now! I've been waiting for this my entire life here. You have no idea how long I wanted to talk about this. Oh, Godzilla! The big fucking G-Man! My favorite monster of all time. If you were to ask me why I love this big fat lizard, we'll be making a separate, yet long-ass essay of why I adore Godzilla. He is the GOAT, the beast, the king of all kaijus. Side with King Kong, if you may. He has been a cultural icon of so many nerdy-ass bitches and bastards, made many merchandises to the laddies around, made pretty stellar movies, and had its own analog horror. We're not talking about it, though, because you may ask, why the fuck is it supposed to be a creepypasta? Because not only G-Man has movies, action figures, and comics about him, guess what he else has? He has his own fucking game, fuckers! Yes, he has his own game, and it's an NES one as well. So all of you 90s kids out there, this is for you, motherfuckers. Godzilla, Monsters of Monsters. What a title. Was released in December 9, 1988. Early Christmas gift for the gang along the world, isn't it? The story goes like this. In the 2000s AD, the Earth receives a declaration of war from Planet X, with the entire solar system as a battlefield. Bloody combat begins between space monsters and our guardians, Godzilla and Mothra. We have a chance to save the world here, people. So get your ass going there and get the hell out there and destroy Planet X! It was not in the tire, I just want to be more dramatic. The graphics at its time was incredible, the music was pretty good to listen to, and the chess-like system of crossing the levels is a smart idea alone. This game was the peak of its time just for an NES, and that is something to behold of the ones who emulated or brought a long time ago. And I know what you're thinking, again, why is this related to a fucking creepypasta story, Tronos? Tell us now! Tell us why that this fucking game about a lizard and a moth defeating so many monsters, including a goddamn three-headed dragon, this important to creepypastas here. Explain yourself here, Captain Tronos! Fine. I'll tell you. Y'all better sit down because I'm not gonna be kind for longer.
Let that be a lesson to the rest of you. Behave.
I'm going to kill you.
In July 11, 2011, a person named Cosby Daft was on the payroll in butchleach.com and made the first chapter of a certain game, Godzilla NES. The main character is Zachary, who tells us events of what happened when playing this ROM hack of Godzilla NES that was found or made by his buddy, Billy. Since Zach loved playing games, especially related to Godzilla as a kid, this was a treat. For starters, everything was fine. When he started the game out, the levels were on tap, the story was the same. It was great. It was still a great game after all these years. Until the fight with Ghidorah, that is. His second fight, quoted. I'm sorry about that. You see, when you play the boss battle, it goes on for 40 seconds at tops. Bitch was 5 minutes. It was longer than I expected, but he did not argue. And when you defeat an enemy of this game, their death is falling out from the floor. But in this creepypasta, when Ghidorah was defeated,
What is that?
he glitched into red pixels and sounded like it was about to crash. So you can tell we're off to a great start now, ain't we, lads? Not only that, but the next battle was Moguera. But this kaiju was twice the size than it should be in the game. Okay, now you're just pulling my nutsacks with clowns. Why is this twink huge? Not only that, but once defeating Moguera, he disintegrates pixel by pixel. So he decayed and turned into ash. The concept of turning to dust from Undertale was not original here, lads. Zach saw this, by the way, and thought this was a pretty awesome feature, because he had never seen this beforehand, not to mention that one of the other kaijus, the Red Kaiju Titanosaurus, was a bit taller than Godzilla, which in the movies was accurate. The attention to details is nice, I'll give credit for sure, just don't see me before dark. I'm not paying kaiju fans anything but $69 if you understand transparency and transactions here. Alright, fellas and Stellas, we continue. After that debauchery we have there, instead of going to Jupiter as planned in the game, he was sent to Pathos instead. This wasn't in the game, and Zach knew this as well. Now, if you don't know what Pathos means, don't fret. We has it printed and cleared. Patho means a quality that evokes pity and sadness, which if you read this before, you know this is going to be a good one. Moving on, as walking around the Pathos layout, he discovers a different kaiju, and in it was Biolante as the final boss. This kaiju was never part of the actual game after it was released in. After the game was released in, he was introduced into a movie. Not even Titanosaurus was also part of the game as well. So, this is nothing but fucking weird. What's even more weird is that there's not much enemies or obstacles to get by off. Not even music was playing much, save the pretty red moon shining among the blue dark trees in the background. But shit hits a little bit in the nuts when the original kaijus that you always repeat playing games are replaced with what the fucker is this monsters. Honestly, this is becoming early to future funeral copy game, but Zach now thinks this is a DLC of the game. You little dipshit. And even though most of these events have happened in the story are quite disturbing, none of them compared to what's about to happen next. After defeating Violante, something is off. What's that great face doing here? Oh, it's playable. Run? But it... Wait a minute. I remember this. This is... Oh, shit!
Shit! What the fuck? I don't fucking know! Stop screaming!
Yes, what you're looking at right now is the infamous character antagonist known as Red. Simply named, absolutely fucking grotesque looking. Look at this thing. Fuck. Look at this fucking thing and tell me that this thing is not your paralyzed demon here. Alright? This thing is fucking scary, alright? Why in the hell was this even made? Alright? Why? How is it even? It can fly! It can swim! It can walk like a dinosaur! Why? Why is this even real? What did he done to my boy? What did he done to my girl? What the fuck? Sorry, I got a little bit carried away. But this is my favorite character as well. But at the same time, what the fuck here has happened? This creature is very unnerving at best. So, yeah, that's probably the only information I'm actually going to give you because we don't have much time to talk about the whole entire story because it is a pretty good read to do, but I may tell you this right now, this is a fucking novel you're about to read, and I'm not joking. I'm deadass not joking here, alright? If I look at what the chapter I'm on right now, it's fucking chapter 2! We're still on chapter 2! You know how many chapters are there in this fucking story? Let me tell you, it's fucking 9! This is literally a novel of creepypastas here! Nothing is compared to Tiki Toby's story of all things! Nothing is compared to the fucking Great Gatsby of all things here! What in the God's name has happened? But yes, there's a whole story going on here, and I'll give you some credit here. There's gonna be a lot of quizzes, red chase scenes, and a goddamn painful history of the main character's backstory here, alright? That's all I'm gonna give you tonight. This creepypasta is a reason why other creepypastas of game-related content has become a new thing here. Since that this was the first one to ever made it popular, the next one came in, made it even more huge than it was beforehand. And you may be knowing what this was about. Because this one is actually a fan's favorite. Mostly more popular than the Godzilla NES may say. Maybe, I don't know. It might be disappointing if that's the case here, but it is what it is, and we're gonna talk about it now. So sit back and listen to this song I've just found. It's very peaceful. This is also my fan favorite, but I will say that I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's actually from a Nintendo game known as Zelda. I'll give you an analysis of like 2 of the games that we'll be talking about that had a very interesting like design that kept the story going on here. The first one was Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time itself. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is a 1998 action-adventure game by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. It was released in Japan and North America in November of 1998 in the PAL regions of following month. The game is the first in the Legend of Zelda series with 3D graphics. And you can tell that it had a very neat design of what the characters would look like. And I gotta say, it is a way ahead of its time here. Ocarina of Time was developed by Nintendo's Entertainment Analysis and Development Division. It was led by 5 directors, including Ichi Aonuma, Yasuaki Kazumi, and co-director of Shigeru Miyamoto, legend here, and written by Kensuke Tanabe. The players control Link in the realm of Hyrule on the quest to stop the evil king Ganondorf by traveling through time and navigating dungeons in an overworld. The game introduces features such as target lock system and context-sensitive buttons, which have become common 3D adventure games. The player must play songs on the ocarina to progress. Now, it's a very short read, but I will say this right now. It was the best game that people ever played in their lives here. And it was very popular. People loved this game to death. And I cannot deny that it was peak. It was legit. Everyone loved the graphics of the 3D design and the polygon design itself here. It's really cute. I say it's really adorable. But, did I ever tell you that it has a sequel of Ocarina of Time? Yes, there is a sequel. And it was called Zelda's Majora's Mask. This game was also ahead of its time here, and it was popular from default here, but not because the fact they had the same mechanics as last time, not the same storyline that was happening before here, but it was a completely different story of what was in the original of Ocarina of Time here. Instead of saving Zelda the princess, you actually had the chance to save the world. Yeah, it's one of those types of games here. But this is particularly different because of its story. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is a 2000 action-adventure game developed by the same publishers back in Nintendo. It seemed to use the same graphics as Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask was completed in less than 2 years. It features enhanced graphics and several gameplay changes, but reuses elements and character models from Ocarina of Time, which the game's creators call the creative decision made necessary by the time's release here. The story takes place months after Ocarina of Time. Link arrives in a parallel world, Termina, and becomes embroiled in the quest to prevent the moon from crashing in 3 days' time. The game introduces gameplay concepts revolving around the perpetually repeating 3-day cycle and the use of various masks that transform Link into different forms. As the player progresses through the game, Link learns to play numerous melodies in his ocarina, which allow him to control the flow of time, open hidden messages, and manipulate the environment. Now, as you can tell from the title of Majora's Mask, yes, is exactly what it was about. In the beginning of the story, Link's horse was kidnapped and his little polka his little fairy has been taken away by the Skull Kid. The Skull Kid that actively is going to cause chaos with the Majora's Mask they have. This mask leads into the open world of destruction. And that means we have to stop this kid from trying to destroy the world with the moon, or we're all gonna die. Now, can you tell me why that this game is chosen to be a creepypasta? Well, let's just say that the graphics of many of the different characters now is fucking terrifying! Just look at the fucking mask salesman you see from the beginning of the story. Huh? Look at the fucking moon! The moon!
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
What is this doing here? What the fuck? Why is that moon looking so goddamn frumpy?
Hey, yo.
And also, fucking eerie as shit right now. Look at that fucking face. Look at that face. Look at that fucking face. That is fucking creepy. Why is it up there? Why is it even that fucking face there? So you can tell that it's really different from Ocarina of Time. So, it's really unnerving that the fact that they actually made that design to begin with is fucking telling. But something happened in the 2010s that made this game more popular. A story was about to be made by this game in a very different light of a certain scene where you play the Song of Healing. And when you do, a statue appears. And looking behind you is a statue of Link. This is where the story begins. In 2010s, probably, Jadusable, also known as Jade, has found a cartridge at the garage sale when he was looking for picking up some games here. There was an old man that had a crooked eye that was selling some stuff there, and meanwhile he was looking around, he actually had found a cartridge known as Majora's Mask written in black marker. The old man says that he can have it for free, and he was stoked. The old man says goodbye then and just drove off like that. And when he put up the cartridge in his, little N64 here, he actually starts the game and sees that the file that he saw had a name called Ben. He reminisces about the old man. He could have thought that he meant goodbye, Ben. So later in this game that he played as Matt, but unfortunately when this game was old, it turned out some of the NPCs would actually accept to call him Ben, or Matt in some way. And he thought the only issue to fix here is to delete the file of Ben. And it would be very sad to do so, but he did it so anyways. Unfortunately, this does not work at all, and no one just really calls him by name anymore. They just said blank. So he thought this was really strange. So he tries to restart the game, and nothing really happened. But he's just going to still keep playing the game as long here. So then Jay decided to actually try the 4th day glitch. It's very simple. You wait until right before Earth was about to be crushed, look away from the giant telescope at 5 milliseconds. Before impact, you are on the 4th day. If that's how it's even pronounced here, I try to Google it myself here, but it's a bit difficult at the moment here. But when Jay tried to do the 4th day glitch, something fucking weird happened. He tried to press B on the telescope. He met the astronomer, but only the Majora's boss fight. Okay, burn the cartridge. I'm kidding, don't do that. If you do that, you'll be compensated by Nintendo's orders here, to be honest. And it was just Skull Kid floating in the air, menacingly. In short terms of it, Skull Kid is looking at you like a motherfucker he is, and that... Did that even happen? Until the game decides to say, like, not sure why, but you have seen to reach a realization here. Now, what the fuck did they mean by that? That's when the screen turns into white and says, Dawn of the New Day, with subtext, So now Jade's getting a little bit paranoid. No shit, buddy. And been placed in the Twilight Zone version of the clock tower, and everything is not there. There was no platforms, there was this invisible sky here, and that people were just gone. Now Jade just feels incredibly lonely in here, so he tries to find a way to fix something about this. He tried to use Ocarina of Time, did not work. He tried to use some items that can get back to where he was, did not work. So he went into the fountain, where you could actually restart the game just there. Until shit hits the fan when an inexplicable spirit comes out into play. That was Ben drowned. Now, this is the beginning of the chapter of the story, but I will say, there's not only just a story being told here, but they actually have videos about their experiences with this game alone.
Excuse me?
Yes, that actually happened. Jade actually made a videos versions of what he experienced and placed it on YouTube. If you want to look at it, you can. But let's face it here, in recent times that when he kept playing the game, it was a lot more, it was getting bad very quickly. Then getting messages from the, fucking... What's the fucking name? Ben was in the fucking computer talking to him. He was in a robot chat. I forgot what the name was, so... Long story short, Ben found out where he should go to, so he went into the computer in Jade's bot chat, so yeah. He wants to be free, and that's really all it was about. He wanted to be free from the game and thought this would be a perfect opportunity to ask someone's help, and Jade was the only source to help him. Now, do I have to say this right now that it seems a little bit more sketchy out? Yes, but does this person want to get out of here? Absolutely. I'll let the kid out. I'll drop an egg. But other than that, though, at the end of the story, Ben was actually free. So, yeah. Just a little bit of an update here. I want to point this out right now that there have been new videos about it that I do believe that the father in this Creepypasta was the one that was free, not Ben himself. He wanted someone to unrelease him from the game itself here, especially to other people that went so before him. And how do I know this? Because there was extra videos that made in 2020 that Jay made from his free time, which that just says a lot. But I want you to go check them out. It's a very, very situation that is actually pretty insane. So Yeah, just go check them out. No, this is very lackluster and it's very short and it feels lazy, but I'm gonna be honest here. I wanted to fucking finish this goddamn story right now because we have another one that actually, I have a problem with now, so we're gonna get to that. But what I think about Ben Drown, it's actually a pretty good story. It's not the best as Godzilla, but it's actually just pretty good at the end of the day. It's not perfect, but it is good. It's a good story to read, and I recommend you do so. And we're not going to talk about the whole story here. We're talking about the character Ben Drown. The implications of Ben was just a Link statue. Nothing else, nothing more. And he was just an entity that was made of the story to progress further of who was Ben. A child that was tortured by a cult of this game known by the father. Again, I already have heard about this because the new videos came out in 2020 from Jod Usable. So that is saying something again. But recently that the internet was a little bit lackluster at best here, so people did not know what the story was about. Usually though, when this creepypasta got popular, everyone uses the cliches from the story, and also for the character for Ben, people really thought that Ben Drown as a character, the fandom thought that he was a pervert.
Are you serious right now?
Nothing else, nothing less. And it's just like, what the fuck? Because it was just a fucking entity that wanted to get out of there, okay? You really think that this kid is a fucking pervert? Well, not a kid, but like, do you really think that this person is a pervert after wanting to be free? No, absolutely not. I do think the reason why the people call him that is because that a lot of gamers are perverted in some way, and they thought that Ben was a pervert, which is like, no, I don't think that. I think that they're mischievous and a little bit, you know, a gremlin side, but I don't think they're just a pervert. I think they're just mischievous. They're chaotic in some way. That's just my interpretation of Ben Drown as a character, as a whole. Now, again, the story is good, the cliches were there, but it was the start of cliches. Now let's get to a creepypasta that uses the cliches and blowing up in the wrong ways. Alright, since I'm gonna actually have to make this quick here, we have to talk about an infamous creepypasta that actually poisoned the well of gaming creepypastas of cliches itself here. That was Sonic.exe. Now, if you know about Sonic the Hedgehog, you probably know about his characteristics. He is an incredibly quirky little shit entirely. All known to be a good-spirited at heart here. He's also just a silly little goober, alright? He's a silly guy, alright? That we all know about where. If I want to talk about the Sonic history of all things, I want to, but let's be fair here. The original creepypasta was based on the games of, you know, Sonic CDs, creepy Easter egg here, the Tails doll in Sonic R, which I will say that I want to talk about Tails doll, but I am legally not allowed to, because if I do so, then Nintendo's going to rip my balls off. Well, I mean, not like fucking Nintendo of all things here, but Sega would probably do that to me. But we all know about Sonic. If you don't know about it, you can go Google it yourself, but don't use AI overreads here. Just actually find Wikipedia and see a Sonic for yourself. That's really simple. Very easy, alright? Just look at an article that talks about Sonic the Hedgehog's history, okay? You can do so yourself. I've been doing that for a while with the other creepypastas here, but I'm becoming more hasty to put this on the 31st of the fucking Halloween here. If I don't do it, then I'm gonna actually get pissed! So, that's what we're doing. We're gonna speed this through about Sonic.exe because I just am tired of it, because it was gotten recently more popular, like recently last year and probably this year alone, with the new analog fucking horror series of it.
I'm gonna sue you out of existence.
Not really that, but like, it has the same overview of what Sonic.exe did, making Sonic demonic and possessed by unknown worldly spawn of Satan, baby, killing a bunch of his friends and destroying the entire game, blah 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 blah. And that Tom was a fucking dumbass for not burning the cartridge. Then again, he would probably be a shit person if he just says like, fuck this, you know what I mean? But like, that's what happened. In Sonic.exe, it was just simply like Ben Drown, but more oversaturated and a little bit more not such good writing as well here, too. And that is really just what it was. It was just bad writing and just not good at all. If it was remade to be completely different, that where, like, the cartridge itself became, like, a downloadable virus tech on your computer and that it makes you play the game, then I would say it could have been more interesting if the game forces you to play it even though you were told not to. That's just my opinion if that ever happens here, you know? It's like an inevitable fate for the character. But it never happened, and that was really disappointing. It's even more disappointing that this fucking character Sonic.exe doesn't really work with Sonic a little bit. Maybe it does if you want to, but like it just feels forced. That's the thing with Sonic.exe. It was forced thing to make Sonic kill his friends. Because if that would happen, that's pretty fucking weird here. Now, do I think that some medias of Sonic.exe is good? I have seen animations of it. I have seen like a re-up of like Sonic.eyx being a thing, but with eyx, it's very rushed, and with like the animation series, it's like not the best animations, but it was pretty accurate to the story. It was pretty accurate to the story a little bit, but you know what I mean? It's still good. I'm just saying it's not the best animation, but you know, it is what it is. You paid the price to do so. And with now recently with like Friday Night Funkin' taking the place of making Sonic.exe mods!
Someone come release me. Release me right now. Please just set me free.
I'm a little bit tired. You can't tell I'm a little bit tired of this shit here, okay? I'm tired of making... I am tired of seeing people making Bound a little bit of a perverted freak, and I'm tired of seeing Sonic.exe. Can we stop? Alright? We can enjoy Red from Godzilla NES here, but don't fucking ruin these two characters here, okay? Come on. Let's fucking not, alright? That's just it from me here, right? I'm making this short as possible because I'm just fucking tired. I'm sorry, everyone, but it's already been long enough here, and I just need to sleep, man. I really do. But that's just my overview on Sonic.exe in retrospect. Because when I was a kid, I thought this was a bit creepy that Sonic would do those things to their friends. But at the same time now, I just realized it was stupid. So, that's that. Sonic.exe in a nutshell. It wasn't good writing, and that it's overrated. So, what do you want me to say from that? Anyways, on to the epilogue. These three main stories have gained a lot of people to make their own stories of different types of games amongst the years, such as Animal Crossing, Psycho Village, Pokemon Creepypastas, and Mario as well. Even though these are cliches of the all-known tales of the books, it really does show that people want to make their own. Now recently, that creepypastas have been going again, meaning that Ben Drown and the other creepypastas of the games are getting more popular again. And that includes Sonic.exe, which I really didn't want to see, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, that's probably it for this entire show, you know? A lot of people like games a lot, and when it comes to making creepypastas, games will always be a net to making a good story or a bad one. It depends on to you, as the person that views these three stories in your own way. And that's just really what it was all about. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am Tronos in the Tronos Gaming Channel. Stay sticky, stay creepy. Thanks for watching. Peace.